Okay, I'll go ahead and get started. I'd like to welcome everybody um, to the presentation. In case you're just now joining us, I'd like to remind you that if you have any questions along the way, just type them in. If I don't see them as we go along, I'll go ahead and look at the questions when we're done. Also, so everybody knows, this particular presentation is being presented to quite a few advertising clubs and competitions throughout California and Nevada. So there may be things that maybe don't apply directly to you, but they might apply to other people and other clubs. So we'll try and answer everybody. I did review everybody who signed up to see where you're from. So I make sure that you have information. If I happen to be missing something from your particular city or area, let me know. So let's go ahead and begin. So just starting at the beginning, what are the American Advertising Awards? What kind of competition is it? We consider it the creative spirit of advertising. There are 3 rounds of judging. There's a local judging, district judging, and the national judging, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And it's the place where you could win an Addy Award. So what makes us different from a lot of the other competitions? Well, we're a local competition, but yet we are the national competition. So, and we are uniquely American. We're specifically here for people who create advertising here in the United States. So let me bring up a couple of things just right here. So it's a 3-level national competition. What happens is that you enter locally in a local competition wherever you're at. The gold winners in the local competition automatically are forwarded to the district competition, and there are about 200 local competitions around the country, followed up by about 15 district competitions. So if you win gold, you are automatically forwarded at no cost to yourself to the district competition. So then if you win a gold at the district competition, you're automatically forwarded to the national competition and the national finals. So we start out at about 30,000 entries around the country, give or take. And there's about 5,000 student entries, give or take. Those are 2 separate competitions. There's a professional competition and then also the student competition. And if you win a gold, as I said, you just move on from level to level to hopefully win a national award. If you win a silver at your local competition, you are still allowed to get to the district competition, but then you have to pay the entry fee. So if you win gold, the local competition will pay your entry fee to the district competition. If you win a silver, then you could go ahead and pay that to forward it to the district competition. Similarly, from the district to the national competition, if you win a silver at the district competition, you could go ahead and forward it to the national competition. Now, many people wonder, it's like, well, if I win a silver, should I go ahead and forward it? I mean, what's the chance of me actually winning at the district or national if I only won a silver? First off, don't ever say only won a silver, because winning a silver award is a great accomplishment. But it's really not uncommon because there's different judges at every level. And and different judges look at the pieces slightly differently. So it's really not uncommon for someone to win a silver locally and then end up winning a district award. That happens really frequently. And it's also that same one that won a silver locally sometimes actually makes its way to the national competition and wins an award. So if you believe in your piece, and that's really the key, is if you believe in your piece, you should go ahead and forward it to the next level of the competition. You know, if you think the judges totally missed it, submit it. Maybe the next set of judges will feel separately. And as far as being uniquely American, let me qualify this because there seems to be some confusion in some places. Now, it's an American competition, but if you here in America create advertising that is aired in other countries, you could enter it here. It's all about where the ad was created. And again, this is a little bit not clear, so I'll try to be as clear as I can. When I say where ad is created, it's really where the thought process happened, where you decided what you're going to do, how you're going to do it. Maybe you wrote it. If you have an agency that's in Santa Barbara, as an example, and you create ads that are going to air in China, and you shoot those ads in the Philippines, you could still enter it here because you created the thought process. It was written, was all done basically right here. The fact that you went to a location in another country to actually shoot it, either the video or the still photographs or whatever, that's okay. So so that's where we're going. Similarly, if you create something in a language other than English, you still can enter it here. We know a lot of people, particularly here on the West Coast, will create ads in Spanish, perhaps in Chinese or Vietnamese or another language. You can enter them here in this competition. So I just want to be clear with those things. Let me know if you have any questions with those areas. So the competition has over 200 professional categories and over 50 student categories. Now, when you look at the category numbers, you're not going to see 200, but there's categories 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. When you add them all up, there's over 200 professional categories and over 50 student categories. And really, if you do anything in the advertising industry, chances are we have a category that fits what you do. And we're reviewing those categories every year to see how we could best modify them, perhaps add new things or take out things that are not common anymore, or really dealing with the state of the industry. So, and we're always looking for ideas of how we could better the competition. So if you have an idea of a category or rules or something that should be changed, talk to your local ADDI chair, or excuse me, your American Advertising Awards chair, and talk to them. And every district has someone who sits on the national committee that makes up the rules. So we're always looking for those things. But if you do it and you're part of advertising and marketing, chances are we have a category for you. Let me mention something else here because it's not in one of the slides, but I do want to mention it because I had this question just the other day. This is a creative competition. A lot of people want to know if they should submit, you know, all the background work and how they made their decisions, the whole case study and things like that. What kind of written documentation or video documentation you could provide is very limited in this competition. It's really about a creative work. It's all about the creative work. And in a sense that there's a few categories in which you can submit a document that describes what you do or a video summary or that kind of thing. It's still about the creative competition. It's not so much about the thinking behind it, other than it has to be obvious that you've reached the goal, the target, that kind of thing. So hopefully that makes sense. New this year, there's a few new categories this year. Political advertising is the big one. Obviously, it was a big political year. This year, you may have had a local politician, county, state, federal, you know, for Congress or whoever it is that you may have done advertising work for. And political advertising could be considered not only for a candidate, but it could be for an idea, anything that people are voting for, or trying to influence your congressman or whoever to think a certain way, or convince people to do something. So it's a wide swath. Read the rules. It'll give you the explanation of specifically what political advertising is, but especially this year, people have been creating political ads all over the country for, again, local things, national things. You could have lawn signs, you could have local TV commercials, radio commercials, billboards, you know, flyers, whatever you did in the political realm has a place for it this year. Also, we have new definitions for the corporate social responsibility ads and pro bono categories. I won't define pro bono because that's kind of obvious. Corporate social responsibility, for those who don't know, is right now there's a lot of companies that create ads whose goal it is to encourage social change or to encourage something that's good for society, and then they benefit from they're promoting something that's good for society. So So that's where that would go this year. If you have any questions about that, again, look at the rules. They're available. You could download from your local competition, and it'll give you the complete definition of what those things are. So you want to take a look at them. So new this year, and this is new this year only, all 3 levels of the competition are going to be judged online. Now, there are some venues that they're still going to do in-person judges, but it is my understanding from all of the clubs that are participating in this particular webinar that all of the clubs are going to do all 3 levels of judging online. So you may want to confirm that with your local club just to make sure. So there are now more places for uploading pictures and videos in the online software. We're encouraging you to do that if you need to show things that typically you would have presented the actual piece, a 3D item to be judged. You know, now there's more places to put pictures and videos of that. We encourage you on, if you have a multi-page document, like a catalog, a brochure, that kind of stuff. In the past, you might have just taken a picture of the cover because those uploads were only used for the gala, so we could, you know, show your great work when you win an award. But this year we're going to be judging everything online. So if you have a brochure or catalog or other multi-page document, be sure and have a PDF that has all of the pages, the entirety of it. So the judges who are judging online could read the copy, see the layout of the entire item, that type of thing. Here are, for those who are not aware, an overall view of our 200 categories. We're not going to mention all 200 categories, but I want to give you the idea of what we have. All the white places are the divisions, and then underneath, for example, sales promotion, we have catalogs, sales kits, menus, packaging, point of purchase. Under collateral materials, we have stationery, annual reports, newsletters, brochures. Publication design, we have covers, editorial spread, magazine design, book design. This is an area right here, I might say, that's not specifically advertising, but are things that a lot of advertising agencies do, such as create covers of magazines or covers of books or the design of a book and that kind of thing. We have a direct marketing division that covers direct mail and specialty advertising. We have print advertising that covers newspaper and magazine ads. We have out-of-home and ambient division that includes guerrilla marketing, installations, events, posters, outdoors. We have an online interactive division that includes all of websites, social media, apps, online ads, blogs. And again, there's a lot more than I'm mentioning here. I'm just kind of giving you an overall view of things to get an idea of what we cover. Because again, we have about 200 categories. In our film, video, and sound division, we have radio ads, TV commercials, web videos, music videos, trailers, cinema ads. There's a lot of things in that division. We have a cross-platform commission. This will be integrated campaigns, such as you did a campaign for a client that included a television commercial, a billboard, a magazine ad, a website, whatever. It included things that cross these divisions or cross categories. Those you put in the integrated campaigns. We have the elements of advertising categories, and those includes the elements that make up an ad, such as photography, illustration, logos, music, sound design, voiceover, cinematography, animation. There's all sorts of things in there. There's music with lyrics, there's music without lyrics. You know, there's some campaigns in there. There's a lot in elements of advertising. We have public service, which includes corporate social responsibility and pro bono, which we talked about a moment ago, and political advertising. For this year, perhaps future years, but for now, at least this year, that includes print, out of home, radio, TV, online, anything that's political, you can enter in there. We also have a division called local only that you may not necessarily have in your local competition, but each competition is allowed to have local only categories. And a local only category might be, for example, ads that did not run. In order to enter the competition, you have to have created an ad or a brochure or something that was actually used. It wasn't spec. It wasn't you created it, the client killed it, and it never actually appeared to the public. or was never actually used. You cannot enter those. It has to be something that was actually used. You know, part of the judging process, in a sense, is that your client approved it. That's kind of the first part of the judging, is that, you know, your client said, yes, this is good enough. Go ahead and mail it out. Go ahead and put it on TV. Go ahead and whatever it is. But if they didn't do that, you can't enter it unless your local club has a local only category. Or they may have a local only category that's something specific to your area that they wanted to add, whatever that might be. And so in the local only categories, when you enter it, you could win an award locally, but it's not eligible to move on to the district or national competition. So just be aware of that. If you have a question about that, go ahead and ask your local chair. Also in the student divisions, we have, I'm not going to go quite as much, but here are the divisions in the student categories: sales, promotion, collateral, publication, direct marketing, print advertising, out of home, online interactive, film, video, sound, cross-platform, and elements of advertising. Now, I know, because I've looked at, you know, who signed up, that we have some people from several colleges here or universities, and be aware that a lot of these things might be covered in a variety of departments across your campus. You might have a particular advertising or graphic design in one place, you might have film, video, sound in another place, in different departments, and they're handled differently. So if you have something that perhaps you're interested in one area, but there might be another department on campus that would be interested in another area, we encourage you to go ahead and pass along the information so students have an opportunity to enter, no matter what their area is. So let me mention one other thing about student entries. Okay, in the student entries, the student may not have done this for paid work. It has to be something that they created specifically for this competition, or it was a class project, or they could have created it for any reason at all except to get paid. In the professional competition, it has to be an ad that was actually used. In the student competition, it can't, well, it could be used, but they couldn't have gotten paid for it, okay? They can't have created it for a real company in a real use. The only exception to that is if they did something for a campus radio station or a campus newspaper. If they created it for, or a campus TV station, or that kind of thing. If it was created for that, then it's okay if they got paid in the course of whatever that is. Other than that, it can't be for a real client. So if it is for a real client, they'll have to enter it in the professional category. So it's totally possible some students can enter some things in the professional category if they got paid for it, and other things in the student category if they didn't get paid for it. Hopefully that's clear. Again, we have a Q&A thing. You could ask any questions if you'd like about those things. Oh, and by the way, in the student divisions as opposed to the professional divisions, here's another difference. In the professional categories, we expect that you follow all copyright laws, trademark laws, that kind of thing. If you use in the course of your ad music by the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, you better darn well have gotten permission to use that music through legal means, as opposed to just say, hey, wouldn't it be great if we used this piece of music, and then you used it, and in fact, you didn't get permission. In the student divisions, we take a different standpoint. You could use things that are trademarked by others. You could create ads for real companies that are out there who didn't pay you. You could create an ad for Volkswagen. You could create an ad for perfume. You can create an ad for anything that you want and use the trademark, the trademarks of those things because it's used just for the competition. Similarly, you could use music that you didn't pay for because it's just part of the student competition, and they're not real ads that were actually used. So hopefully that makes sense and you guys are good with that. Okay, so where to enter? I have this split up on 2 slides and I'm gonna sit here for a second. These are the places in Southern California who, some of you could be from one of these areas here. Basically, we're taking you to the website. At these websites, you should be able to find and download the rules and the categories and find a little button to press to enter here kind of thing. And you should be able to find answer to questions on deadlines and on prices and who to contact and all sorts of information like that. So These are the ones for Southern California. We're going to switch over in a second to the other ones. Here are some of the other areas that are participating. I apologize for the Fresno one, but there is no Fresno website I could point you to, but that right there takes you directly to where you enter online. The rest of you should be able to go to these websites, and you'll have like an enter here button or that type of thing, and you'll press on that. So that's that. Now, I'm also not sure, because I was given this by the people who do Fresno, that I'm assuming that that's for the professional competition. There might be a student competition, but a little bit later, I'm going to give you a contact name for Fresno, and so you can contact them and make sure if you need a student link as opposed to a professional link, you know, what that might be. So I'm not really sure about that because I was given that. The rest of them are just the regular club websites that you should be able to get all the rest of this information. Okay, so when you do go to the website, you press enter here. This is where you're going to go. We're just going to go this through kind of quickly. You put in information about you, your company, your school, that type of thing. And then you're going to put on entrant information. This is for the professional, not the student one. You'll see at the bottom there's a member status, AAF member. If you're a member of your local club, there's a really good chance that you have a discount for entering as a member, so be sure and check that. If you're not a member, obviously say you're not a member. There's not a discount everywhere for AAF members, just to say, but there are most places. So you want to look at that, and also it could be possible, based on how many entries you have, that you may actually save money by joining the club. So if you could do that and you save money, that's a good, you get your membership and you join. On this, I'm going to say for the student one, there's a place in there where it says name on award, and that is, you know, sometimes someone will enter for a group of people, or they'll call a name of something, you know, the advertising club or whatever. But you want to have a name on the award, such as Joe Smith and, you know, Joanna Smith, or whoever you have, the people who worked on it. You know, only one person could be the entrant, but the name on the award, you could have multiple people. If 2 or 3 people together worked on a project, then the name on the award could be the 2 or 3 or 4 people that worked on it. In the professional competition, it only goes to 1 person or 1 company. A little bit of a difference there. Okay. So then you go on and you're going to select, you'll see that first select drop down button. I can't really show the whole page here because it's kind of rather big, but you'll see at the top there's a description of all the divisions that we talked a little bit about earlier. That first drop down is going to select that division, and then under that division, then it's going to give you, you know, the general categories, and then you'll have a series of drop downs till you get to the specific category that you want to look for. Then you want to have the title of the entry. Please do us a favor, do not use quotation marks under title of entry. It's one thing that kind of drives me personally crazy. I don't recommend you necessarily put the company name there, if you know, unless you really, really want to. Method of distribution is going to be, it was sent out via TV, it was sent out via direct mail or whatever, and then language, whether in English or a different language. Now, if you choose to enter something that's in a language other than English, if it's a video, we ask that you could have subtitles on there in English for the purpose of the competition. If it's anything else, if you could provide a written translation, that would be great, because it would be really help, because obviously we can't have judges in every competition with all the different possibilities of you know, who speak all the languages. So provide a translation. That would be really, really helpful. I know there's lots and lots of agencies in our area that cover, again, a lot of the Asian languages, Spanish, and you know, you could create something for anywhere. Under client information, okay, you are not the client, so do not put your company name here. Do not put you there, unless what you're entering is a self-promotion piece. If it's a self-promotion piece, it's yours. But if you created an ad for a car dealership, that's where the car dealership name goes. If you created an ad for Netflix, that's where Netflix goes, or McDonald's, or a restaurant, or anything else. That is your client. That's generally speaking the folks who paid you. That's who goes under client name. So that's where that goes. Then you're going to enter the media. It asks you if you have internet or interactive agencies to be judged. It has a drop down there, so that way you're going to be able to enter in the website locations where the ads can be found. And then also we have a whole series of choose files. There's 10 of them there that you could upload particular files with that. We're going to talk about more of that in just a second. I do want to address one thing is if you have a website that you want judged. Now, it's possible the website has changed since the work that you created or the work that you want judged. We don't have to go to where the website currently is. If the website has now changed, you could put the old website at a different location, such as www.myaddingentries.com/whatever, or so you could post it somewhere else. If you want to have a landing page for a campaign, you can put that landing page in there, and that landing page will then have the different items on there. So you could do that kind of thing there. So also here's the media counts, how many TV, radio, interactive. This is really helpful for us in the judging portion to make sure that we don't miss anything. How many of each one? I do want to talk about this for just a second. Okay, so you have individual entries and you have campaign entries. So a campaign entry is 2 or more executions of anything for a particular client that was in a particular campaign. So there are 2 types of campaigns. One is a single category campaign, such as photography, such as brochures, or plus as posters, whatever. If you have a category like that, you can enter as many as 4 executions as part of the campaign. So if it's a photography campaign, you could put a maximum of 4 executions there. If it's a poster campaign, you could put a maximum of 4 in there. So pick your best 4. On the other hand, if you have more than 4 that you want to still enter as campaigns, you could enter multiple campaigns. You could do 2 campaigns of 4, a campaign of 4 and a campaign of 3. You could do a campaign of 3 and 2. You could do, but those are separate entries. But any one entry could only have a maximum of 4. The second kind of campaign is the cross-platform campaigns, and that includes, you might have the TV and the radio and the magazine and that kind of stuff. There you could put a total of 10 executions, okay? Now, when I say 10 executions, that doesn't mean you had, and I've seen this before, a whole series of, let's say it's a political ad, and you had a TV and a radio, and you had a whole bunch of buttons and a whole bunch of posters. So I don't want to see 6 posters and then 12 different campaign buttons and 4 different coasters and all these things. So your group of coasters, each one of those coasters counts as 1 each. Each one of those posters counts as 1 each. So the total of everything has to come up to 10 or less. So however many TV spots, radio spots, posters, all these little things. Don't give me 25 samples of something that you did. I had 25 different coasters and they were all great. And I'm entering it as part of this. Sorry, those are 25 different items. So again, hopefully that's clear for you. So also when you upload things this year, keep in mind, if it's a multi-page document, include all of the pages in one PDF. You are allowed this year to take a video if you have a 3-dimensional item. For example, if you have packaging and you want to, normally you would send the actual package to be judged. If taking a video of that is helpful, you can go ahead and do that. Keep in mind there are rules and restrictions for how long these videos can be. So take a look at those. Hold on, there we go. And then credits. You do not have to put credits here, but you can if you want. You could put your creative director, you could put your illustrator, you could put the president of the company. Some people put their clients in here. You could put nothing in there or a whole bunch of people in there. I do think that there's a maximum. I think this year it's 22 I'm not 100% sure on that maximum because it does change occasionally. It used to be 12. Now it's a lot more. So if you choose to have credits that might appear on your certificates, if your local club issues certificates for, silver or bronze or whatever they might do, then that's where those credits might be. They also might be used in other places in other ways. So, but it's up to you how you want to do that, if you want to do that. But we encourage you, if you do it, do it in the entry process. Don't say I'll get to it later unless you have a deal with your local ADDI chair, please. In preparing your entries, okay, if you've done this in the past, there's no change from last year to this year in how you prepare your entries in online interactive and film, video, television, and sound, and certain of the elements of advertising. All entries will be uploaded to the online system as they always have been. There is no changes in those areas. However, in all other categories for this year only, because of COVID, and we're doing the online judging for this year only, okay, you can have additional PDF, JPEG uploads for the print categories. A video of the upload, as I mentioned a moment ago, of the print piece is available. And as I've said multiple times, for multiple page documents, upload PDFs with all the pages. So if you have questions about how to do it, again, contact your local ADDI chair. We're going through your American Advertising Awards chair, sorry. And they will help you with how it wants to be done. Okay, here's some must and must nots. So you must enter by the deadline and of course pay. If you enter the piece but you don't finish off and pay, you are not in the competition. And it has to be done by the deadline. There may be a late deadline, we'll talk about that in a moment, but you've got to get it in there and you've got to pay for it. If you don't do that, then it's not in the competition. Provide translations for non-English entries, as we mentioned. You must not deliver entries this year unless your local competition specifically tells you to do so. You must not provide too many executions, which we talked about just a moment ago. You must not identify the entrant. That's you. We don't want to see your company name on there. It's really not uncommon for some people to have used to producing a beautiful piece that has like their company name on the bottom corner. Do not identify yourself. It's a way you could be disqualified. When we had actual print entries, I used to just take a pair of scissors and just cut it right off the bottom. And you don't want me to cut off the bottom of some nice piece that you put together. And on videos, no slate, bars, tones, whatever you might do, just have the video play. There may be some additional musts and must nots from your local people, which is why I keep referring you back to them. How to win more awards. Let's talk about how to win more awards. And let me be really, really, really clear. You see my disclaimer at the bottom. Nothing in this presentation is meant to imply if you enter more pieces, you will automatically win more awards. Okay, but if you enter more work that is worthy of winning awards, I can help you with how to win more awards with your award-winning work. And you will likely to be more able to win more awards. So again, don't let me imply in any stretch of the imagination that you could win more by doing anything other than creating work that's worthy of more. So that in mind, as I said, create and enter award-worthy work. That's the first way to win more awards. Create and enter award-worthy work and then enter a lot of it. That's how you start. Okay. Second way, enter similar items in multiple categories. So what I'm talking about, let's say you created a magazine ad and you're really proud of this magazine ad. You think you did a great magazine ad, but you also created a newspaper ad that looks pretty similar. And you also created a poster that looks pretty similar. And you created a billboard that looks pretty similar. So you've created all these works. If you enter all of those items in the multiple categories, if the chances are, okay, if the judges like one, they will like the others. Now, I've seen situations where the judges have said, you know what, it really works in this format, but not that format. So I've seen them give like different levels of awards because it didn't work as well one place or the other. They're all judged separately. But, similarly, if they tend to like it and give an award for one, they tend to, not always, not promised, but they tend to also give awards to the others. Similarly, though, of course, if they don't like it in one, they're probably not going to like it in the others. But that's one way you could win more awards. Another way is enter things as both campaigns and individually. We talked about campaigns for a little bit. For example, we talked about photography, how you could have up to 4 in a campaign. You could also enter each of those items separately. You could enter 4 different photos that you think all want to be judged separately, and you could enter them as a campaign. You could do separately or as a campaign or both ways. And because as you're aware, sometimes in campaigns, one entry will bring up the group, one entry might bring down the group, or one execution, I should say, might bring down the group. But if they like them individually, then they'll probably like them as a campaign. Although again, I have seen it in cases where judges will say, you know what, it doesn't really work together. I mean, individually they're fine, but or you know, they might say, they look at it different ways. I mean, everything is taken seriously. However, if they like them individually, you enter them all individually, you could win more awards if they all like them. And similarly as a campaign, that's another way to win more awards. Enter the elements that make up the ad. So say, for example, you have an ad that has a logo. It has obviously copywriting. Well, not obviously, but it could have copywriting. It could have an illustration. It could have animation, that kind of thing. You could enter the ad in the ad category, and then you could also enter the animation portion of the ad in the animation category, or the logo in the logo category, or the copywriting in the copywriting category, or the voiceover, you know, or the creative direction, there's cinematography. You know, if you're really proud of this TV ad, you can enter the cinematography separately. So by entering all those different pieces, it gives you more opportunities to win, other than just entering the ad in and of itself. Okay, here are some deadlines of the folks here that told me they're going to be participating in this particular webinar. Hopefully, if you're here and you're in one of these areas, if you're not, contact your local club. So here's all the areas. Everyone has a deadline and a late deadline. Not everybody, excuse me. It looks like the Desert Ad Federation does not have a late deadline, and also Fresno does not have a late deadline. So you want to make sure and get your stuff there in on time. If you're gonna be late, even though there might be a late deadline, contact your local ADDI chair. Sometimes, excuse me, your American Advertising Awards chair, sorry. Habits die hard. I've been doing this for a really long time, and so it's a habit to call it ADDI, but I'm trying to train myself to say American Advertising Awards. Sometimes I slip. So generally speaking, not in all cases, there's a late fee with the late deadline. It's not always put into place, but it could be in these places. Check out with your local folks. But even if you have trouble making the late deadline, there may be some flexibility your local awards chair has with helping you to get it entered and submitted and judged. So don't assume if you just miss the deadline or you miss the late deadline that you can't still get it in, because oftentimes you can in some of these competitions. I know in the competitions that I handle personally, and there's a couple of them there that I work on, that I will work with you any way I can. If you want to submit and pay to get your entry in, that I will do my best to find a way to get it judged, even if we're missing a deadline. That being said, do your best to make these deadlines, because there is work involved before judging to get it to the judges, and it makes it easier for everyone if you can meet them. But again, I would hate for you to not get into the competition if there was a way just by contacting your local chair that you could get in. So here are the deadlines for that. The entry fees, which is a big question, they vary per location. So you really want to see your website and your local club for those details. There are wide variances on entry fees, depending on where you are. So, and keep in mind, you can only enter where you are. So you don't look around and say, oh, it's cheaper to enter over there, so I'm gonna enter over there. No, if you're in Los Angeles, you have to enter in Los Angeles. If you're in, in Fresno, you got to enter in Fresno. And it's just the way it is. Keep in mind again that there's lower entry fees for members. There's different prices for individuals and campaign entries. There's lower prices for students, so the student prices are less expensive, and other discounts might be available. So really go check out your local rules and your local website, talk to your local chair, and they will help you tremendously. Here's some contact information. And while we're here, let me just give you a little insight into what areas these cover. You might think it would be somewhat obvious, but it's not necessarily. We have a second page with more locations coming up in a second. Los Angeles, as an example, is all of Los Angeles County, with the exception of the Westlake Village portion of Los Angeles County that goes to the Coastal California competition. And the part like Pomona, Diamond Bar, that area over there, that goes to the Inland Empire competition. Other than that, the rest of Los Angeles County goes in the Los Angeles competition. San Diego is really easy. It's all of San Diego County. Orange County is really easy. It's all of Orange County. Coastal California is all of Ventura, Santa Barbara, and San Luis Obispo counties, plus the Westlake Village portion of Los Angeles County. That's Coastal California. Inland Empire is all of San Bernardino County, that little portion of Los Angeles County that we talked about, which was the Pomona Diamond Bar area. And also about half of Riverside County, the Riverside County portion that goes down to the San Diego County border and over to the Banning-Beaumont area. Desert AdFed goes from the Banning-Beaumont area of Riverside County, and it goes east into all of Coachella Valley, you know, basically Palm Springs through Indio, and everything east of that Banning-Beaumont area, which goes to Inland Empire. So that's that. San Francisco includes all of the San Francisco Bay Area, with the exception of Santa Clara County. Santa Clara County goes down to Silicon Valley. Sacramento is the whole Sacramento area. Silicon Valley is all of Santa Clara County and down into Santa Cruz and Monterey, and that whole area down there. Fresno, we'll just call it the Greater Fresno area. Same with Bakersfield, we'll call that the Greater Bakersfield area, basically Kern County. Las Vegas, they'll take Southern Nevada. Northern Nevada, of course, is going to go to, there's a Reno competition as well. So hopefully they can answer your specific your questions, and you took down this information. And now I've kind of rambled through this. I'm going to go look at the question and answer, see if there's any questions I can answer for you guys. If you have questions, post them in this area. Let me see right here. What is the best way to enter a campaign? S21, all elements on one page or a community page. Okay, let me, first off, I'm going to get categories. Here is my list of categories. There's all 200 of them. So S21, let me look at this real quick. Sorry, I don't know all of these at the top of my head. S21, consumer cross-platform campaigns. Okay, so the way I would prefer you to do a student, this is a student category, student consumer cross-platform campaign, and this also will continue for the professionals as well in their cross-platform campaigns. Enter the upload the portions separately. If you have a website, give the website name. If you have a poster, put the poster in separately. Put in the radio ad separately. Put in the billboard separately. So put all of the items in separately on their own separate uploads. Hey, they have a question number 2. Is it possible to pull an entry and make changes and resubmit it again at this stage? Well, I'm not sure which stage because nobody has judged yet in this area. So if you want to take down your ad, talk to your local chair with one of those ways to communicate and talk to them. You cannot make changes after it was judged the first time before it goes to the second or third levels of competition. Once it is judged, you're done the first time. It is possible, depending on your chair, that they may help you to switch it out before judging. But again, I'm assuming this is a student question because the first part of your question was a student one. So with a student one, then those changes are possible. If it's a professional one, it had to have already aired last year or used last year. So there shouldn't be any changes to the professional ones once you've done it. Okay, another question, a little confused on the requirements for submission. Is the copy for submissions 250 words max for all categories? Okay. Excuse me, I'm gonna take a drink right here. Okay, there are some categories where you're allowed to have a 250 word description or a video summary. Not all categories allow it. So I refer you to the rules. basically speaking, this is a generic basic concept, but don't take my words literally here because I want you to look at the rules. Okay, the only places you could have a description are in the online interactive categories and also in the cross-platform categories. That's basically, generically speaking, that's it. There are a couple of exceptions. For example, with a logo, you're allowed to tell us who the logo was for, what the company was, because there could be a particular logo that makes total sense for one kind of company and total not sense for another kind of company. So that you could have tell us who the company was. But other than that, it's very strict. Now, when you do put these together, the 250 words max, please don't include things like the results, because we don't judge on results here. We judge on the creative that was done, which frustrates a lot of people, but that's kind of the case for it. Also, if you create a video, instead of doing the 250 word document, please don't include things like, here's all the press coverage we got. We got, 4 million more hits in 2 days, or because again, the results are not what it is. And while I'm not a judge, I do instruct the judges in the competitions that I work on. And also I also instruct the judges at one of the district levels, is that I always tell them, ignore any press stuff, ignore any result stuff, because that's not what you're judging here. Hopefully it answers your question. If I didn't, throw another question down there. Okay, another question. We're an insurance company serving doctors. We did a big content effort to provide guidance. Is there a category where it would fit? It depends on what the content effort was. If it was a brochure, you'd enter it in the brochure categories. If there's actually email campaigns, if you did it by email. If it was how you distributed it. And that's basically the way all the categories are. It's how they were distributed. So I would need to have more questions. I encourage you to contact one of your local ADDI chairs and give them specific examples. If it was a brochure or a mobile app or a magazine ad, or how did you distribute the information, and that's where you would enter it. I hope that answers your question. Do you prefer a billboard image inside a billboard or just the image alone? I'm not sure I understand the question. But you could enter, I always tell people to submit things, as long as it follows the rules, in the way that they best think it looks. And so I'm gonna answer this question the way I'm interpreting it. I hope it's the way you meant it. If you have a billboard that you want to submit, if you think the judges will judge it better by seeing it actually a photo of the billboard in actual use, if you think they'll judge it better there and it makes more sense, submit it that way. If you think just submitting the artwork itself without looking on a billboard would be better for you, then submit it that way. This actually brings up another item I reminded me of, and kind of thank you for the question, because it's reminding me. There, in the elements of advertising categories, when you submit them, you're supposed to submit a sample of usage. So if you created a logo, also submit here's how we use the logo. If you have a photograph, submit not only the photograph, but the way you used it in the ad. And we won't judge the ad itself, but we want to see how it was used in any of those elements of advertising categories. Thanks for the reminder on that one. Can I include the background info on my billboard, or do you only want the image of the campaign? Only image of the campaign. There's only certain categories that we accept background information, and billboards are not one of them. Just the image. It should be able to stand by itself, and it should be obvious. Just confirming that no prints are being submitted this year. The rules haven't been updated. The rules have been updated. We had two changes this year nationally. At first, national was going to judge, and some districts were going to judge with print pieces. So there's people here from two different districts. District 14 and District 15 are represented in this call. So I could tell you, in District 15, we are judging it all online. District 14, which is Northern California, Northern Nevada. District 15 is Southern California, Southern Nevada. They are judging it. Check with your local chair, because I didn't have the answer for every local chair, But I know in many places it's all going to be done online, and in other places they may want to judge it in person. I'm not taking that risk in my areas with COVID. I just not going there. So confirm with your local chair. Confirm. Okay, I may have missed it, but I did not see the new political advertising category for student entries. No, you didn't miss it because it wasn't there. There's not a particularly political advertising category for student entries. You would enter those in the regular thing. So if they did a political ad that was a TV ad or a poster or whatever, entered in that poster or TV category typically. There's not a particular political advertising for student entries. Are PSAs considered social responsibility? Possibly and possibly not. Social responsibility ads are not just PSAs created by, say for example, there's an organization that helps LGBTQ youth, as an example, and they create a PSA, or you create a PSA, in generally speaking, to help LGBTQ youth in whatever way you create that PSA. That is not social responsibility. Social responsibility, it's corporate social responsibility is a category, and that is where a company such as Lever Brothers, such as Palmolive, such as whoever, decides to create an ad from Palmolive that says, we support LGBTQ community in this and that way, and you should think this and that kind of other thing. And, you know, here we are, Palmolive, you know, that's what we think. That would be social responsibility. There's a little bit of gray areas here, and I realize it's a little confusing. Hopefully that helps. Would COVID-specific campaigns need to be placed under corporate social responsibility? It depends on what the message is with the COVID-specific campaigns, possibly. I could tell you, generically speaking, with placing an entry somewhere, I can't speak for every locality, but generally speaking, if you enter something in the wrong category, generally speaking, you're not disqualified. They'll just move it to the correct category. So I always tell people, ask the question, we'll answer it, and if you place it in the wrong category, we'll just move it to the correct category. But specifically, you might want to talk to your local chair and show them the ad or the campaign or whatever it is, and they could help you find the best place for that to go. Heather, thank you for telling me that the Fresno link is for both students and professionals. Thank you. I was not aware of that. Thank you for that information. Confirming we do not to send physical prints for the San Francisco Addy competition. That is correct, but you don't have to send physical submissions for the San Francisco American Advertising Awards competition. We're trying to always use that. But yes, in San Francisco, I can tell you for sure, you don't need to send physical entries. Are there digital upload specifications? Can't find them within the rules. I do believe you can find the digital upload specifications online itself. I think there's an FAQ or thereabouts that should tell you that. Generally speaking, it takes almost everything, but there is a maximum size, but it's pretty large. So look for it online. If you can't find it online, when you get to upload everything, go ahead and contact your local chair. It says, professional, I am submitting on behalf of advertiser and creative partner. Who should be the entrant and award winner? Okay. The advertiser is not the award winner or the entrant. The entrant and award winner would have been the person who creates. If you created with a creative partner, generally speaking, it's the agency of record. So whoever actually has the contract, they would be the person and who takes the lead, even if they totally outsource the entire thing to somebody else. If they take the lead, they have the contract, they have the right to enter it. Now they could give that right to the person who created it on your behalf, or you could share the awards, and most locations will allow you to get awards, you know, duplicate awards in multiple names. Like here, you know, I will create this duplicate award for you in your creative partner's name, but there has to be one winner. And generally speaking, that's the agency of record. In that case, hopefully that answers that question. Per the question above, what is the entry requirement limitation on online digital entry? It's kind of a really wide open question, and I'm not sure how to answer it because I don't know it. If you want to contact your local ADDI chair, you could kind of get more specific on what you're looking for there, because I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. What if your video advertising identifies the entrant? Well, if the entrant is the company who is the advertiser, for example, if you have an in-house marketing company, if you have an in-house marketing company and you created the ad for your own company, say for example you're a car dealer and you're the marketing director for the car dealer, and as the marketing director for the car dealer you created those car dealer ads, then obviously the entrant is the car dealer, and he will be identified because the ad is for the car dealer. The only other way they should identify you is if it's a self-promotion piece, like you created a Christmas card for your company that you sent out to a lot of people. So the advertising was for you and you are the entrant and it was self-promoted, and that you could do it. But other than that, it shouldn't identify the entrant. There might be exceptions. I'd have to actually see it to know, for example, to see it, but it shouldn't, other than those kinds of things. Are print pieces being sent in as well as the digital upload, or just all digital entries? For this year only, it's all digital uploads. So print pieces, take a picture, do a video, once again, create a PDF of all of the pages. We're judging everything online. Double check with your local club in case they decide that they need it differently. But that's the case for now. A client used the majority of my photos to create a cinematograph for an ad. However, they also used one photo from another photographer in the same final cinematograph. Can I still submit that for an ad? Or should I resubmit my own photos used in elements of advertising separately? Okay. So if you're trying to enter just your photographs, then you just submit your photographs. And you submit the finished piece as a sample of how your photograph was used. But you submit the photograph itself and then the sample of usage. If you're trying to create the part that was an entire ad in which your photograph was used, it sounds to me like somebody else created the ad. So to create the ad, we have to have the person who used it submit it, because you didn't do all of the work for the ad. I hope that makes sense. If not, ask another question. You have a pharmaceutical category. We don't have specifically pharmaceutical categories. However, pharmaceuticals could fit in any category. If you had some direct marketing, it could go there. If you had, we had it for one of the competitions I did once, we had someone who created, I know it's not pharmaceutical, but it is medical, but breast implants, and they actually had a direct mail for breast implants with actual breast implant samples in there, and they entered it. So you could enter it in any of the regular categories, in online, in print, in television, in cross-platform, whatever it is, that would go just in with the other ads. Can I submit an ad that ran a few years ago? No, this competition is only for ads that ran from January 1st through December 31st, 2020. So it has to be an ad that was created and actually used. Well, it has to be created. The first usage had to have been January 1 through December 31st, 2020. To be clear, in a video description for an online interactive campaign, will we submit the brief challenge and the creative, but not the results? Yes, we do not want the results. Some people put the results in there and you're kind of stuck with them. Personally, I tell the judges to ignore the results. All we're looking is for something that helps us, for example, understand better what we're seeing or how the whole thing fit together. We did, this social media, which linked up to this TV ad, that linked up to that, and it kind of explains, you know, the entirety of the campaign. And that's what we're really looking for. Not so much the challenges that they gave you, although some people do submit that as part of the stuff. Keep in mind, you only have so much time. It's supposed to have a maximum 3-minute video, and I think it's 250 words. It used to be a 90-second video, but everyone was ignoring that, so they put it up to 3 minutes. So put up, what's I'm looking for. So go ahead and submit it. But basically what we're looking for is, you know, how the whole thing put together. Heather, thank you. District 14, Sacramento, Fresno, Silicon Valley, San Francisco are all online judging. Okay, so if you're in any of those places, up in Northern California, those are all online, so you don't have to submit any pieces. In Southern California, I can tell you for sure that there is no actual pieces in San Diego, Inland Empire, I believe Orange County, Coastal California, Los Angeles. I think those are all also totally online. I'm not 100% sure on Palm Desert, although I'm not sure if anyone's here from that area anyways, and Las Vegas, I'm not 100% sure there. So for most places, I said, it's all there. Okay, so does anyone else have any questions? I've gone through all of these questions and I see all the thank yous and stuff, and I appreciate that. Anyone have any other questions? I tried to cover as much as I could. Hopefully it was helpful for you. Again, I suggest that if you have any additional questions or some of these specifics, if I wasn't able to answer totally, that you go ahead and contact your local chair, and they should be able to help you with those things. And I wish you all the luck. I hope you enter, and good luck, everybody. I'm seeing no other questions, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off. And see you soon. Be safe out there. Thanks.